2012, Dutch taxidermist Bart Jansen turned his dead cat Orville into a functioning drone to pay tribute to the cat's love for birds. Jansen has since launched his own animal drone company that turns family pets into flying machines.
What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. How you guys doing? Hopefully you guys are doing all right, man. If you guys are brand new to the channel, you guys don't know what we do. We break down scary, creepy videos, man, on the net, on the web, from YouTube videos to TikTok videos, IG videos, Facebook, anything weird, usual, and unexplained you can find right here on this channel. Just want to thank my supporters, man, who's tapping into the channel, watching the videos entirely, hitting that post notification bell, man. Follow me on my social medias down below, and hitting that like button on each and every single video I drop, man. Greatly appreciate the support. Found this video for you guys today. Like, still, we do best seekers. Let's seek the truth.
Last words people said right before dying. A 20-year-old gang member was dying of primary liver cancer. In his last days, hours, and moments, he was angry. The family called the hospice nurse into the room and told her that they thought he was going. He wasn't responding, his eyes were glossy, his skin was cold, the end was imminent. His lovely mother whispered to him to go towards the light, to her Jesus. He opened his eyes, looked at her, and said, "F your Jesus." A second or two later, he slowly turned his head to the left and got the most horrific look on his face, as if he was looking at something that they couldn't see. And horrified, his face contorted, and he screamed with his last breath, eyes wide, "Oh sh! Oh sh! Oh no!" Then he made a guttural noise and promptly fell back into the bed and died. Every family member was shaking and too frightened to speak. The hospice nurse left the room and took 2 days off. She said she doesn't care if she never finds out what he saw.
Things you never
What
knew.
did he see?
Bears in Russia sometimes become so hungry in the summer that they become desperate for food and go to cemeteries to feast on the recently buried corpses. In 1977, we received a radio signal from space. It lasted around 42 seconds. To this day, we don't know where that signal came from. If you're ever unsure with meeting up with someone and you want to stay safe, use publicdatacheck.com. It allows you to do background checks on anyone, and even has an unknown phone number lookup for those phone numbers that call you that aren't in your contacts. This has saved a lot of people from weird and strange situations. So check out publicdatacheck.com. If your immune system found out you had eyes, it would attack them until you go blind. In 2002, actor Anthony Starr received a 12-month prison sentence because he had a bar fight in Spain. Witnesses say he drunkenly punched and smashed a bottle on a chef's head, saying to him, "You committed the mistake of your life. I'm going to look for you. I want to you." He managed to avoid jail time by paying the victim $4,000. Now, if you made it to the end of this video, let me tell you a secret. Typing "scream" all lowercase with the bars around it like this will give you a secret emoji down below. Let's see who can actually do it.
Oh man, the Homeland actor, man. He took that a little bit too seriously. What's that acting called when they, try to stay in character? I forgot, man, but he took this Homeland to take it to the next level. That's kind of insane. I never heard about that story before. Damn. You guys think, man, Homeland in real life going rogue?
Did you know that people have seen mermaids in Indiana?
Ooh.
Well, not the cute Disney mermaids that we're thinking about. No, these mermaids are referred to as mud mermaids. These sightings have been going on since the late 1800s. People in Indiana along the Ohio River have reported to see them on the banks of the river for years. And what they've reported sounds almost a little bit disturbing. These aren't your fairy tale mermaids. People say that they have green skin, hands like humans, but with long talons and webbed fingers, and razor-sharp teeth. They also say that they walk on the banks like dogs because instead of legs, like normal mermaid myths, they have tails. And they have absolutely no hair at all. Now, whatever these weird things may be, people say they're not known to attack. When they're sighted, usually they're eating other fish or frogs. But still, razor-sharp claws and teeth, that doesn't sound very inviting to me. So maybe these are freshwater mermaids, or maybe there's something else entirely. I don't know about you, but I'm gonna stay away from the banks of the Ohio River, because I do not want to run into one and find out if it really is friendly.
Sounds like those are sirens, Those aren't no damn
Morbid
mermaids.
Facts, Part 153. Per Olin, known by his stage name Dead, was the lead singer for the Norwegian black metal band Mayhem, as well as the Swedish death metal band Morbid. At age 10, he was attacked by some bullies who injured him so badly that he was legally declared dead for a few minutes. After this incident, Per began an unhealthy obsession with anything related to death. He collected dead birds, wore corpse paint when he performed, and even routinely cut himself while on stage or in front of friends. Olin was believed to have suffered from Cotard syndrome, a mental disorder characterized by the belief that you are truly dead and don't exist in reality. In 1991, Dead took his own life by slicing his wrists and throat and shooting himself in the forehead with a shotgun. He left a note that was very brief because he didn't believe that he was alive in the first place. His body was soon discovered by one of his bandmates, who immediately ran to a nearby store and bought a disposable camera instead of calling 911. He took multiple photos of his dead friend and would later use one of them as cover art for a future album.
This is one of the worst ways
Insane.
somebody has ever died. In October 2012, an awful and disturbing thing happened. A 62-year-old employee at Bumblebee Foods named Jose Molina was having a normal day in the Bumblebee facility in California. In his schedule, Jose was tasked with the performance maintenance on an 11-meter-long industrial oven, so he went inside one of the tanks to begin his work. Believing that Jose was in the bathroom, one of his co-workers actually shut the tank's door, trapping Jose inside, and then filled the oven with 5,400 kilograms of tuna and then turned the oven on. A search then ensued when the manager realized Jose was missing, but by then it was way too late. They found Jose's body 2 hours later inside the oven, completely burnt and melted away, 100% unrecognizable. The temperature inside the oven reached 270 degrees Fahrenheit, and Jose was unfortunately cooked alive inside of the tank with all the fish. And you can only imagine how horrific this death actually was. Could you imagine being cooked alive and then being crushed by tens of thousands of pounds of fish, mixed with the smell, the texture, the heat? This death was just awful. The company Bumblebee and 2 managers were actually charged for this death, and the company got off with a $6 million settlement. But do you think $6 million is way too low for a death like this? Many people believe it should have been more close to $50 million. Nonetheless, this is by far one of the worst and most uncomfortable deaths of all time, and I can't imagine Jose's thoughts as he was being cooked alive with hundreds of fish.
We need to talk about Johnny Depp's portrayal of the Mad Hatter, because it is full of dark history Easter eggs that you may have missed. If you know of the character the Mad Hatter, then you may also know about the dark history of hatters. For 250 years, people that made hats were using a poisonous mercury-based solution that caused their bodies to fall apart and for them to slowly lose their minds, which I just did a whole episode on that and other deadly beauty and fashion trends that you should check out. When Johnny Depp got the role of the Hatter, he became obsessed with the dark history of hat making, and he wanted to include parts of that history in the character. And the biggest homage he pays to that history is with the orange hair. The mercury solution that hatters used to use was called carroting solution because it was so bright orange. They would sit in these poorly ventilated rooms all day just inhaling the poisonous mercury, getting sicker and sicker. And Johnny Depp wanted to honor that. He wanted the skin to be pale and sickly. He wanted his teeth to look like they were decaying because that's what would happen to these people. And finally, and this is my favorite detail, he put a lot of details into the costume to make it look like he was a hat maker. Up here in his hat, there's tools to make hats. He has a ring that's a push pin, and on the other side he has this belt of thread so he could be sewing hats all day. Anyways, I had so much more on the dark history of hatting in this week's episode, and you're definitely going to want to check it out.
That won't be the first time, man, that a character we've seen from a classic movie, something had a tragic back story, or was based off something that was real, that had a dark history. Goes to show you, man, the things we be seeing in this media be stemming from a dark place. You gotta be aware.
Morbid Facts about Michael Jackson, Part 3. In 2002, Michael was staying at a hotel in Berlin when he dangled his 9-month-old son blanket over his 4th-floor balcony. Jackson claimed he was simply excited and wanted to show off his baby to the fans below, but the media was quick to criticize Michael's parenting skills and life-threatening behavior. Jackson later apologized, stating that it was a mistaken judgment and that he didn't mean to endanger his son. Blanket is now 21 years old and rarely makes public appearances. During the shooting of a Pepsi commercial in 1983, Michael's hair caught on fire when the pyrotechnics went off too early. He suffered second-degree burns to his scalp and permanently lost a chunk of his hair. Many say that this moment was a major turning point in Michael's life. claiming that the painkillers he took after the accident started his downward spiral into a life of pain and drug addiction. But despite all of this, instead of suing Pepsi, Michael asked the company to fund the creation of a burn center.
Blood-curdling facts that you wish you never knew. If your plane is crashing into the water, just know that flight attendants are trained to not allow any dead bodies on life rafts. That means no saving grandma for her funeral, simply yeet that bitch overboard. 1 out of every 50 women have a third nipple, and 1 out of every 100 men do too. This is known as a supernumerary nipple, and Mark Wahlberg actually has one. Harry Styles has 2. Your baby foreskin can be used as replacement skin for burn victims. That means one can quite literally be a dick face. There are corn stars born in the year 2003. That's the same year The Cat in the Hat came out. Male fetuses get boners in the womb, and these can often be seen on ultrasounds. Motherfucker. After 49 people were killed at the Pulse nightclub shooting in Orlando, cops were investigating the scene, and you'd think it'd be pretty quiet in there. But it was actually filled with sounds of ringing cell phones. Friends, family members, loved ones, calling the people that they knew were at Pulse and hoping they'd answer the phone and say they were okay.
Here are some things that are completely normal during the day, but really creepy at night. Digging holes in your backyard. I mean, it's your backyard, and you're entitled to do whatever you want to it, but if I see you digging some holes in the middle of the night, I'm gonna be really concerned. Bonus creepy points if you have some trash bags next to you, too. I feel bad for people who work graveyard shifts or are night owls, because it makes it difficult to do any gardening or landscaping without looking pretty creepy. They say a child's laughter is one of the most beautiful sounds in the world, but not if it's 2 o'clock in the morning. Scary movies have absolutely ruined the sound of a child laughing for me, because most instances, I'm gonna assume the worst. And for some reason, little girls laughing are even more scary. Like, imagine being in the woods camping and you hear some little girl laughing in the distance. My brain isn't gonna think, oh cool, some family must be camping near us. No, I'm gonna think that I'm gonna get murdered or possessed by some demon. Someone knocking on your door. During the day, it's annoying. Who the fuck is showing up at my house unannounced? It must be a salesman or, worse, Mormons. That same knock at 3 in the morning? No, I'm getting murdered for sure. I'm on the 2nd floor, and my only way out is to jump out the window, so I'm done for.
What the heck? Y'all jumping out the window, seekers, man. Somebody attack you at 3 o'clock in the morning? Man, hey, you gotta do what you gotta do. That's definitely an edit. Call them out.
Morbid Facts, Part 269. Actor and comedian David Spade has a tragic past. His dad walked out on him when he was a toddler, and his stepdad took his own life when he was a teenager. His first best friend died in a motorcycle crash, his second best friend Chris Farley died from an overdose, and his sister-in-law Kate Spade took her own life. Not to mention, David's own assistant once broke into his home and tased David while he was sleeping, forcing Spade to grab his shotgun and threaten to shoot. In 2012, Dutch taxidermist Bart Jansen turned his dead cat Orville into a functioning drone to pay tribute to the cat's love for birds. Jansen has since launched his own animal drone company that turns family pets into flying machines. In the original Friday the 13th, an actual snake was killed in the scene where one was found in the cabin. The snake's handler, who wasn't told that the snake would be killed for the movie, was incredibly upset and had to be held back by crew members when it happened.
Man, what the hell? Took it too far.
Probably keep you up at night. Number 1, your ears never stop growing. They get bigger and bigger the more you age. Number 2, during a person's lifetime, on average, a person spends 1 whole year sitting on the toilet. Number 3, in 1977, we received an audio signal from space that was 42 seconds long. To this day, we don't know where this audio signal came from. Number 4, raining animals. Throughout history, there have been documented instances of animal rain, a phenomenon where frogs, fish, and even spiders are swept up in waterspouts and then fall from the sky with raindrops. Number 5, the zone of silence is an area in Mexico where radio signals and any type of communication cannot be received or sent. Number 6, the boiling river. In the heart of the Peruvian Amazon lies a river so hot that it boils. The Chennai Tempishka River It reaches temperatures up to 93 degrees Celsius or 200 degrees Fahrenheit.
Damn.
Number 7. The sleeping city of Kalachi. Residents of Kalachi, Kazakhstan, have been plagued by a mysterious condition that causes people to fall asleep for several days, often waking up with no memory of the episode. Investigations suggest that elevated levels of carbon monoxide and hydrocarbons due to uranium mines might be the cause, though no definite explanation has been established. Number 8. The Voynich Manuscript. This mysterious book dates back to the 15th century. It is filled with writings of an unknown language or code and detailed illustrations of non-existent plants, astronomical diagrams, and strange human-like figures in bizarre contexts. Despite efforts of cryptographers and scholars, no one was able to solve these codes. We don't know what the book says. We don't know who wrote it.
These are the 5 scariest space facts. You've been warned. If a massive asteroid was headed for the Earth, the chances are there isn't really much we could do. At any moment, the Sun could emit a coronal mass ejection aimed at the Earth, and if we weren't prepared for it, it could destroy the entire world's energy grid and leave us without power for years. There are black holes lurking in the shadows, roaming throughout our galaxy, and if one entered our solar system, it would be all over. When a star runs out of fuel, it can emit a gamma ray burst, and if a star within 3,000 light years of Earth happened to emit a gamma ray burst and it was aimed at us, the ozone layer would be destroyed. Finally, every year there is more space junk created, putting us at risk of being trapped within the Earth.
How are we polluting space now too?
If you haven't heard about the extremely disturbing case known as the Girl Scout murders, then you may want to stick around. Viewer discretion is advised. In June of 1977, more than 100 girls headed off to Camp Scott in Locust Grove, Oklahoma, hoping for a summer filled with fun and newfound friendships. But little did these girls know that their dream would become short-lived extremely fast after a tragic event took place on the campgrounds. It was about 2 months before the incident occurred when a young camp counselor found a note in her belongings claiming that there was going to be 3 girls in one tent murdered this year while all the girls were attending camp. Knowing that the campers and other counselors like to play pranks on one another, she just dismissed the note and left it there as a joke. But little did she know that she would come to regret this very quickly when the tragic events began to unfold on the campgrounds. On the night of June 12, 1977, a storm blew through Oklahoma, leaving the girls to take cover and hide away in their sleeping bags to be protected from the bad weather. It wouldn't be until the next morning that a camp counselor would come and check on the girls after the storm and realize that 3 of them were stuffed deep down in their sleeping bags with bloody sheets and signs of strangulation, rape, and even mutilation. The 3 girls whose dead bodies were found in those sleeping bags were 8-year-old Lori Farmer, 9-year-old Michelle Goose, and 10-year-old Denise Milner. After the death of these 3 innocent girls, police and other law enforcement agencies rushed to the scene so that they could start their investigation and get to the bottom of who could have possibly targeted these 3 innocent girls. Discovered near the campgrounds was a cave that police would decide to go into, where they would find masking tape and 2 wedding photos, which seemed to be a very strange combination. After the photos were released to the public, an old prison employee actually called in, claiming that he has seen those photos before and he's almost certain he knows who committed these horrific acts on these young women. And he believed that the person behind these sick and twisted murders was a man by the name of Gene Leroy Hart, who was an escaped convict and convicted rapist back during the time of the Girl Scout murders. The crazy thing is, Hart was actually acquitted due to the lack of evidence on the police end, and he claimed that he was actually framed and that he did not commit the murders, even though there was trace evidence of his DNA found at the crime scene. And it's still unknown if Hart actually committed these murders or if he was actually just framed. And now, here in 2023, after the not guilty verdict years and years ago, there is new evidence that has arisen that Gene Leroy Hart was actually very closely linked with these murders.
Gotta be with that all that damn time. UK Seekers.
Creepy last words people said right before dying. Registered nurse Shirley Smith said that she had a very rich patient who was a true Satanist that was dying of cancer. The patient had upside-down crosses and a Satan's Bible by her bedside. Shirley said that she will never forget what happened. It was the middle of the summer, and yet it was so cold and dark in her room that you couldn't even stand it, even in the middle of the day. She said that it got so evil feeling in there that she had to call a priest to pray with her and her aides before they would even enter the room. When the patient passed away, she had not spoken in over 24 hours. And then all of a sudden, she sat straight up and said, "Satan, take me." And then she fell back on the bed. Shirley said that after she passed, the room got bright and extremely warm. Shockingly, when they moved the patient's body, they had to get rid of the mattress because where her body had been, it looked burnt. And the most horrible smell was emanating from the mattress cover. Needless to say, Shirley went to confession immediately because she did not want an evil spirit around her. A nurse said that one of their patients had a serious recurrence and had to be admitted. Over the course of several nights, he had become quite upset during rounds. He kept asking for his wallet, saying that he had to pay the ferryman. The medical student on rotation in the department took a quarter out of his pocket and put it in the patient's hand. The patient then dropped the coin into the cup on his bedstand and calmed down. Later that night, he passed away quietly. The nurse asked what happened. The medical student, who remembered his Greek mythology, said that the patient had to pay Charon, the ferryman, to be taken across the river Styx. A nurse said that he was doing rounds at a hospital. There was one two-patient room, and one of the patients was a very loud and confused woman who could be quite a handful. On this particular night, she had a roommate who had passed away shortly before the nurse entered the room. She was DNR, so there was no code blue. When he entered the room, he noticed that the elderly lady, who was usually very loud and confused, was sitting quietly with her hands crossed neatly upon her lap. Something was different, and there was this look of serenity on her face. She asked him in a voice that seemed much younger and clearer than before, "Did you see them, young man? They're so beautiful." He said, "No, ma'am, there's no one else here." She said, "They're right next to you, talking to Mrs. Banneker. The angels. They're so beautiful." He said that he instantly felt every hair of his body stand up, and an electric tingle course up and down his spine. "They're not here for me this time," she said sadly.
Ooh. Okay. Who they there for then? Interesting question, Seekers, man. Maybe we'll have to try to find a follow-up to that. Insane story, Seekers. You guys, if you guys made it with me to the end of the video, you're true seekers seeking the truth. I greatly appreciate the support, man. Like I said, guys, make sure you guys, man, hit that like button, man. Follow me on my social medias down below. Links will be in the description, man, so we always can stay connected together as a community. You guys now do daily uploads every single day, so always make sure you check the channel at least once time every single day. You can find a new upload. You guys gonna catch it in the next one, man. I'm out. Peace, YouTube. What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. How you guys doing? Hopefully you guys are doing all right, man. If you guys are brand new to my channel, you guys don't know what we do. We break down scary and creepy videos, man, on the net, on the web, from YouTube videos to TikTok videos, IG videos, Facebook, anything weird, usual, and unexplained you can find right here on this channel. Just want to thank my supporters, man, who's tapping into the channel, subscribing, hitting that post notification bell, man, hitting that like button on each and every single video I drop. I really appreciate the support, man. Like I said, trying to get into this algorithm, man, and if you guys do those 3 simple steps, man, we can get in there. Found this video for you guys today. Let's do what we do best, man. Let's seek the truth.
experiments that'll keep me up. The Abigail Project is definitely one of those. It's one of the most disturbing experiments I've ever read about. Sometime in July of 2003, there was a government document that was declassified that talked about an experiment that took place back in 1945, post-war. It was led by Dr. Albert Weston and a team, and their task was to create a biological weapon out of a human. And for some reason, he decided the subject of this experiment was going to be his daughter, Abigail. It was a series of months where she was fed growth hormones, they gave her classified substances, and she had her entire body surgically modified. But the experiment was a failure. She had completely lost touch with who she was no longer cognizant of what was going on, and most of her instincts had reverted into primal instincts. Considering what the doctor had done to his daughter, he would take his life after 2 years into the experiment, and according to these documents, the experiment, meaning her, was lost. Nobody really knows what happened to her.
Never say this out loud, or you will die. There's a cursed Japanese poem called Tornado's Hell. And supposedly, if you read it out loud, you will die or be cursed for life. Now, you can read it in your head. This is where things get crazy. A man named Suji Teriyama decided to make and direct a movie based on the poem. Exactly 1 week after the release of the movie, he suddenly dropped dead. By the way, y'all, I asked y'all to name our new baby, and the highest voted name was Steve. So I guess when this guy hatches, his name will be Steve.
Since we got this baby together, you do owe me child support.
Now this other story is also crazy. There was a schoolgirl that was dared to say the poem out loud. Look, you got friends daring you to do stuff like that. You need to get rid of them. Literally 1 week after doing the dare, she suddenly dropped dead.
Woo, look at that, baby. Look at that. Sheesh.
I flashed the poem somewhere in this video, but I'm telling you, if you find it, don't read it out loud. Or I'm gonna come to your funeral and tell everybody you're stupid. You're stupid.
Okay. Stay away from that poem, Seekers.
This is the scary story about It Won't Hurt, and it's absolutely shocking.
Alright.
There was a bus driving late at night, and it was completely packed full of people. Suddenly, an old woman on the bus became ill, and she asked the bus driver to stop the bus. They were on a country road surrounded by a forest, so the driver told her to wait. But the old woman began to throw a fit, screaming and yelling at the bus driver, demanding him to stop the bus. The bus driver then pulled over to the side of the road, and the old woman got out and ran into the woods. When the old woman came back from the woods, she was holding a little girl's hand who was crying. When they got back on the bus, everybody asked the little girl what was wrong. She said her mother brought her into the woods and placed her on a tree, then tied a rope around her neck and said, "Whenever you get bored, just jump. Don't worry, it won't hurt."
What?
The old woman said she didn't know why, but she felt something was wrong in the woods. And when she got in the woods, she caught the girl while she was jumping. The bus driver then began to drive again, and he suddenly saw a young woman standing on the road. He then stopped the bus. When the young woman got on the bus, the little girl stood up and said, "Mommy, you promised it wouldn't hurt."
Oh, hell no. It's like they saved it from her mom, man. What the hell? Creepy story. With the world today, man.
On May 29th of this year, Natalie Reynolds went live on Kick, and shortly after it started, she is seen trying to convince a woman to jump into the lake. The woman then claims that she cannot swim but only float. Natalie then says,
"I'll give you $20. $20? Yeah, that's it.
The woman then jumps into the water, followed by the staff running down the dock, and Natalie acts as if she wasn't just trying to convince the woman to jump in the water. Instead of helping the woman that she knows cannot swim, her and her friends leave the scene and are making jokes about the fact that Natalie thought she was just drunk and not mentally ill.
I can't swim. I can only float.
She might literally die.
No, stop. Seriously, don't stop. Please, you're actually freaking me out. No. She said she's drowning. She said she's drowning.
I think you literally just heard her.
No, I didn't.
Nah, this is bad.
What the hell?
Since then, Natalie has received a lot of hate, and several people are claiming she should be charged with attempted murder. What are your thoughts?
That's crazy, man. You know, kick streaming, bro. Those kick streamers, I've been hearing a lot about them. How they just be doing like degenerate stuff on the internet. They be doing anything and everything for clout views. That goes to show you, man, how far a person would do just to get some attention. That's actually insane.
Ask you, can you tell that there is something wrong with the picture that I'm going to show you. This one is really interesting. So the information I could find on the photo is that we think it was taken by a realtor. He had gone alone to basically inspect a home that was foreclosed on that he was about to put on the market. What's odd about this photo is that if you look at it really closely, you're like, the photo is kind of blurred, like it was taken in motion, because in the background there is something very wrong. Quickly before we get into it, thank you so much for all of the support for my podcast, Creep Time the Podcast. You don't even know how to process being top 10 in the country. That is incredible. If you have not listened, go click the link in my bio. Seen in the background of that photo, it was very clear that he was not alone in that basement. Although he claimed he didn't see anything, he just got a strange feeling, so he kind of took the photo and then rushed out of the room. But this person was confirmed to not be the homeowner. So who was hiding out in that basement?
Who was that? He didn't even see him there?
This is the disturbing cryptid iceberg with actual evidence behind it. Would have posted this video sooner, but it was my birthday 2 days ago and I was out of town, so I'll make sure I give you guys some good ones to make up for me being gone. Okay, so this picture represents cryptids from the least disturbing to the most, and we've already covered this one, so we're gonna go on to tier 3.
Okay.
This is the Dave Shealy's 2000 skunk ape footage, and what you're seeing is in the Florida Everglades, and you can see this skunk ape just moving. I mean, look how quick it is walking. A lot of people believe that this footage is real just because if you've ever been to the Florida Everglades, there's no way somebody can move that fast. Next one is the ivory-billed woodpecker video, and this was an animal that was supposed to be extinct I don't know how many hundreds of years ago, and this one is actually confirmed. It's gonna be a little tough to see, but you'll see over here this little bird flying like this. I don't know, it's pretty cool to me. This is the Pennsylvania white Bigfoot video, and what you're looking at is supposed to be a Sasquatch. I don't know, it doesn't really look like Bigfoot to me. Interesting about this video is when they posted this video, they put a white Sasquatch. Was a really big claim, but what they didn't know is in 1973, 2 girls reported seeing the exact same white Sasquatch in basically the same spot. If you guys want to see tier 4, make sure to like and follow for more videos, and I will see you guys later. Peace out.
Blood-curdling facts that you wish you never knew. If your plane is crashing into the water, just know that flight attendants are trained to not allow any dead bodies on life rafts. That means no saving grandma for her funeral, simply yeet that bitch overboard. What? 1 out of every 50 women have a third nipple, and 1 out of every 100 men do too. This is known as a supernumerary nipple, and Mark Wahlberg actually has 1. Harry Styles has 2. Your baby foreskin can be used as replacement skin for burn victims. That means 1 can quite literally be a dick face. There are corn stars born in the year 2003. That's the same year The Cat in the Hat came out. Male fetuses get boners in the womb, and these can often be seen on ultrasounds. Motherfucker. After 49 people were killed at the Pulse nightclub shooting in Orlando, cops were investigating the scene, and you'd think it'd be pretty quiet in there. But it was actually filled with sounds of ringing cell phones. Friends, family members, loved ones, calling the people that they knew were at Pulse and hoping they'd answer the phone and say they were okay.
Crazy. I didn't know in males in the future they get boners when in the fetus. What the hell? That young? I didn't even know that was seemingly possible. What the more you know. Tap in, you're gonna learn with us.
Mr. Sandman, bring me a dream. Make him the cutest.
On May 26, 2020, Clint Brower went to a laundromat to do some laundry when he noticed a man acting suspicious. That man was Micah Harrington. According to reports, Clint believed Micah had intentions to hurt people, so Clint pulled out a knife and stabbed him over 30 times. And to be clear, Micah never acted out in violence. He then tied a rope around Micah, dragged him into the parking lot, having hopes that someone would, quote, put him back together. If that doesn't make sense to you, it also doesn't make sense to me. When police arrived, Clint was arrested and Micah was pronounced deceased. The mugshot in itself is eerie to know that he was smiling just after taking an innocent man's life. And as of Monday, June 3rd, 2024, Clint has been sentenced to life in prison. What are your thoughts?
Saw the report.
Damn.
Scientists found the largest male specimen of the most venomous spider in the world in Australia. This is the funnel web spider, and the size of it is disgusting, but the thing that freaks me out about it is the strength of the damn thing. We're talking fangs so sharp they can apparently crack through a fingernail. A fingernail?
Oh.
What? And nothing prepared me to actually see a close-up of the fangs. Maybe this is a woolly mammoth.
Creepy facts that you shouldn't read. Your mind gets sense when someone is staring at you, even when you're asleep, which explain why you randomly wake up during the night. Spirits are more active at night and mostly exist in air-conditioned rooms. They look and stare at you at night. They read your mind and try to speak and show your future dreams. Follow if you're scared.
Has that happened to any of you guys, Seekers? Especially about, like, you know, waking up at night?
Breaking news, they've officially released Riley Strain's toxicology results. This information was released today by the Tennessee's chief medical examiner. The report shows that Riley Strain's blood alcohol level was more than twice the legal limit. His blood alcohol level was .228, and he also had Delta-9 in his system. Delta-9 is a classic form of THC. This would be the THC you heard about in health class growing up. The effects of Delta-9 are typically increased appetite, elation, relaxation, talkativeness, and laughter. The report still classifies Riley Strain's passing as accidental, and there were no signs of significant trauma. His exact COD is listed as, quote, drowning in ethanol intoxication. Riley Strain's family is doing their own investigation into his passing to see if he was overserved or if any foul play took place. To stay up to date on this case, make sure you click the playlist below. I'll keep you guys updated. What do you think? Drop in the comments.
Did you know that the Crypt Keeper from Tales of the Crypt actually has Chucky's eyes? The dolls were made by the same person, and when HBO started running out of money to make the show, they needed him to just start using parts he had lying around, so the doll's actually made with a lot of the animatronics that Chucky used and his eyes. Now you know.
The murder of McKinley Chick-fil-A Marie has to be my favorite case of all time. Like, I actually get butterflies in my stomach every time I revisit this case. I'm just so fascinated by the killer. He was so dedicated. He was gorgeous. Super, super dreamy. Like, if he wasn't behind bars, I would probably be with him. And just how dedicated he was to chopping her into bits and pieces. I mean, he really had no remorse, and we almost have to appreciate that. Like, the fact that he carried this chainsaw around for miles and miles, and after chopping her up, it just wasn't enough that he decided to also set on fire. I'm like, there's something hot about that. Siri, play This Girl Is on Fire. We can make jokes now, guys. It's been a long time. The best part about this is that this killer had no remorse. During the court hearing, he actually sat and looked her family members dead in the eyes. Dead, get it, guys? And he actually just laughed the entire time. And you know what? I can appreciate a man who doubles down. Also, disclaimer before people get their panties in a twist, I'm being super, super respectful of the family. I'm only sharing things that I've seen already on the internet, so I'm not making things up. These are just facts, and I just want to share that with you guys.
That was a POV they said of how, you know, some, I guess, how they be acting when they explaining these videos. You know, some of them, yeah, they have to, actually all of them need to have respect to the families on what they reporting on, because it's really affecting people. Words have power. Remember that. Edit. You know how to spot them out.
So check this out. A YouTuber just found the devil in Alaska. What? The footage at the end is the scariest thing I've ever seen, fam. It's crazy. It's crazy. Luke Nichols, a popular YouTuber from the United States, has just encountered Satan himself in the mountains of Alaska. This is the reason nobody wants to visit Alaska, bro. This is terrifying. So Luke, known for his love for the outdoors, a veteran for outdoor extreme camping and survival, getting the nickname Luke the Nuke Nichols. He had been exploring the Alaskan mountains nearby the Noam territory. The fierce weather conditions made his trip more difficult. He was out on his snowmobile on his way to catch some fish with his son when suddenly they came across a random hole in the ground. They were terrified. They immediately turned back but heard a voice calling out. He turned around, and within the darkness of the night he saw horns, then flames, and realized he was staring into the eyes of the devil. He took out his phone to video it. To see the video, comment Mr. Nightmare, and we will send it via DM.
Oh. Is that fact a cat?
Has anybody ever heard of the Silent Man ritual? It's a ritual that you should never do. Who is the Silent Man, you may ask? The Silent Man is a demon that was casted down from heaven, a demon that hates noise. Many people say if you play this game and win, you'll gain never-ending good luck and fortune. However, many people who played and lost say that they've got everything in their lives, everything good, taken away from them. But not only that, but a lot of people who play the Silent Man ritual have reported that they've actually lost their voice over time after playing this game. If you look at it, it makes a lot of sense. The Silent Man hates noise. They say to call upon the Silent Man. First step is to turn off all the electronics in your house. The second step is to light a candle and go to a window. Supposed to whisper quietly at the window. Silent Man, I invite you in. Say around 25 times. Now you have to understand, to win this game, that you have to stay quiet. You'll see a man outside your window. The more noise you make in your house, the closer this man will get to your house, until he's inside your house. This is why I recommend nobody to play this game. Do you guys think I should play this game on live stream? Then heart this video and follow my account. Let me know in the comments.
Y'all, this picture...
I never play those freaking games, those ritual games. That's just like bad energy, bad juju all around. I completely stay away from those, man. I don't see how people can even risk that. That ain't me.
It makes me so sad but so happy at the same time. But this is an updated photo of the Menendez brothers. If y'all are not familiar with the Menendez brothers case, it is an old case. I really feel like they should not be in prison for what they did. But they unalived their parents and they got charged with it. And after going to court and talking about basically that they were SA'd over the course of their childhood, and the reason why they did this is because it got really bad and they felt like they had no other way out. They were still convicted of it and charged with, I believe, life in prison. But there have been a lot of petitions to get them out of prison and get, you know, a retrial or consideration to let them out or give them lesser time or something, because these men have been in prison for like so long. And look at them, y'all. They look so good. Like, this makes me so, I don't know why this picture makes me so happy.
What do you guys think about that case? Like I said, a lot of people's calling for their release. They got out. I want to see you guys' thoughts down below on that one. They fled. Tax money. The root of all evil. Maybe that's how they was able to afford that house and that car. Tax fraud. They just got up and vanished like ghosts and they couldn't catch him? The whole mansion. They just had to pack up and disappear. So they got away with it. They didn't even get caught. Come on, man. You got to be on top of things like that, so people can't get away with that, man. Lived in that big ass mansion, had all those cars.
At 3:15 a.m. Okay. You might be cursed. Like, why? Legit. So I don't know if you ever heard about the Amity House. No. This is a real haunted house. I believe in the States somewhere. So they claim this house to be one of those houses that is truly attached to demons. Now the story goes that there was this man. They said a voice came to his head and told him his 3 family members, his 2 daughters, and his wife. Now it's weird.
Why would somebody even get a property like that if it's that connected? That type of energy and spirits. That runs through my mind every single time I hear like people get into houses like that. Like, would you guys even want to stay there? Put your family around that type of energy too? Nah. Not me.
I ended up moving in there. Now this family, they were haunted for years. Yeah,
The 16-year-old girls that brutally unalived their best friend because they didn't like her anymore. Skylar's niece may have been an only child, but she had a sister-like bond with her best friend Sheila. The girls were like 2 peas in a pod and did everything together. Their freshman year of high school, they added a 3rd best friend, Rachel, making them an inseparable trio. Like most friend groups in high school, there was some jealousy, like if 2 of the friends hung out and did invite the 3rd, stuff like that. And that's how Skylar was feeling going into their sophomore year of high school. Like, Sheila and Rachel were getting closer and kind of kicking Skylar out. Then, in the middle of the night on July 6, 2012, Skylar snuck out of her house and never came home. Skylar was missing. Her parents are panicked. Her best friends Sheila and Rachel are acting concerned as well. Sheila would spend a lot of time with Skylar's parents, supporting them, crying with them, asking for updates, and asking if there was anything she could do to help. And the longer that Skylar was missing, the more that rumors started to spread. From things like Skylar ran off with a boyfriend, to Skylar fled after robbing a bank, to Skylar's best friends Sheila and Rachel were involved. At this point, the investigators were actually pretty convinced that Sheila and Rachel knew more than they were letting on. Both of the girls' stories were like nearly identical, like they had been rehearsed. At this point, the police's theory was that the three girls snuck out the house to maybe use substances and something accidentally happened to Skylar, and Sheila and Rachel were just covering it up because they were scared of getting in trouble. They could have never prepared for what actually happened. Following Skylar's disappearance, Sheila was like pretty carefree, but Rachel, on the other hand, was having a nervous breakdown and had to be admitted to a psychiatric facility. And upon release, Rachel confessed that her and Sheila had stabbed Skylar 50 times and had planned the attack for months. And even more shocking was their motive, that they didn't like her anymore and didn't want to be friends with her. To this day, Sheila has never shown any remorse to what she did to her best friend and is seen as the evil ringleader and was sentenced to life in prison. Due to Rachel's confession, she was sentenced to 30 years in prison. She was up for parole very recently, but it was denied. But I'm really curious to hear what you guys think. Do you really think that two 16-year-old girls would brutally unalive their best friend just because they didn't want to be friends with her anymore? I feel like there has to be more into this story.
Maybe not. I'm just like, they just couldn't just split amicably. Like, if you don't want to be friends with somebody no more, you could just say that. It didn't have to take that dark of a turn. That's rare nowadays. You can't even be, you gotta be, like I said, choose your friends wisely, because if they don't like it no more, they could just try to end it off with you. It's just like, man. It really makes you think, bro. Put things in perspective. Seekers, if you guys stay with me to the end of the video, you're true seekers seeking the truth. I really appreciate the support, man. Like I said, guys, make sure you guys like, subscribe, hit that post notification bell, hit that like button, man, so we can officially get into this algorithm, man. Like I said, I know we can grow the seekers into something special. I just need you guys' help, man. Just you guys' support so we can get into this algorithm. We can just take off. But like I said, we're doing these daily uploads. Hopefully you guys enjoying, man. Trying to get these out for you at least once a day. I've been on the streak, I think, for this past like 2 months, so I want to see some clap emojis down below, man. I've been on the road. You guys gonna catch in the next one. I'm out. Peace, YouTube. What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. How you guys doing? Hopefully you guys are doing all right, man. If you guys are brand new to my channel, you guys don't know what we do here, man. We break down scary and creepy videos, man, on the net, on the web, from YouTube videos to TikTok videos, IG Reels, Facebook, anything weird, usual, and unexplained, you can find right here on this channel. Just want to thank my supporters, man, who's tapping into the channel, subscribing, hitting that post notification bell, man, hitting that like button on each and every single video. You guys are helping us push us into the algorithm. Really appreciate the support. Fought this video for you guys today. Let's do what we do best, man. Let's seek the truth. Okay. Saw some movement. Ooh. You guys think of that, man? You definitely saw some movement of those objects. Were those edits, or were those just like legit cases, I guess, of paranormal activity going around on those objects, man? Those statues? It's very creepy and eerie. You guys know what to do.
Casper was
born in the 1800s, and his mother actually passed away while she was giving birth to him. So he was raised by his father, and apparently his father was a really good man. He treated Casper really well, was a very loving father. He always wanted to make his own son happy and would basically do anything for him. Well, there was this one Christmas where Casper begged his father to buy him a sled. So, of course, because his father loved him so much, he went out and bought him a sled, and Casper was...
What happened? You know the story of Casper the Goose? It happened because of a sled? Alright. How was this his dog?
Dream. I got everything I wanted, but when I wake up I see you with me.
Put your phone in your mouth and plug your
If
ears.
you're alone right now, don't watch this video. In the winter of 2018, a man who was living alone in the mountains wakes up to find a red ball sitting on his front yard. He assumed the only neighbor he had must have kids, and so he kicks the ball over the fence, goes inside, doesn't think anything of it. That night, he wakes up to the sound of kids laughing outside of his window. He goes outside to check on them because it's the middle of the night, and there's no kids anywhere, but that red ball is back on his property. So he picks it up, brings it in his house, and goes back to bed. The next morning, he goes over to his neighbor's house to let them know that their kids were out in his yard in the middle of the night. But it turns out his neighbor is just some old man who lives alone, and there aren't any kids anywhere in the area. That night, he wakes up again to the sound of kids on his property, and when he looks outside, there's no kids, but that red ball is back on his property. Panicked, he runs downstairs to make sure the one he brought in is still inside, and it's gone. He checked every window and door, and everything was still locked. It didn't make any sense. He decides to look out the window one more time, and off in the distance is some weird, stiff figure watching him.
So is that somebody playing like a prank on him, or that red ball was legit haunted? He took it inside the house, but when he go to look for it again, it was gone. That one gets the mile
I'm
timer.
here to ruin your childhood. Peter Pan was a crazy psychopath that trapped little kids in Neverland. He killed them before they grew up, which is why they could never leave as adults. Captain Hook was one of the Lost Boys that escaped Neverland, which explains why Peter Pan attacked Captain Hook and fed his arm to the crocodile. Which means, the whole time, Peter Pan was the bad guy. I'm sorry, guys.
Childhood freaking exposed.
Like, Alexis has been gone for so freaking long trying to actually boo.
Okay, but like... Okay.
Shit. Alexis?
What the hell is that attacking them? They was all in the woods camping. They like watch Avatar: The Last Airbender. Some out of nowhere just freaking attacking, looking for Alexis. Cause she was using the bathroom out there. Maybe it could have been an animal of some sort. I don't know.
Did we dig a hole to hell in 1989? In 1989, geologists were digging the Kola borehole, which is now known as the largest hole in the world, measuring at 7.5 miles.
Damn.
It's said that they stopped digging when temperatures rose too high, around 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit. But the story goes that the geologists heard the sounds of suffering souls within the hole, which gave it the name the Well to Hell. They recorded sounds of masses of people screaming in torment and agony from this hole. It's said that then scientists watched in horror as a massive cloud burst from out of the ground. The story goes that this cloud then formed into a monstrous bat, and "I have conquered" was written across the sky. I'm now going to play a recording of the sounds that were heard in this hole. Check out part 2 for the rest of the story, and here's this disturbing audio clip.
Here is very disturbing indeed.
It sounds like it's based off Stranger Things.
This story's called Help Me.
Macedonian family had been travelling through America. After being out late one night, their little girl curls up in the booth of a restaurant and falls asleep. She later wakes up in the back seat of the car. Still dazed and confused, she sees them pull into a doctor's clinic. While in the doctor's, the girl struggles to understand anything that's being said. The woman turns and says, "Where's the usual doctor?" And calmly, the doctor turns and says, "Well, I'm filling in today." Angry, the mother says, "Well, my daughter's sick and I think she's got food poisoning." When he talks to the girl in English, he doesn't get a response. The mother says she only speaks Macedonian, and the doctor turns and says "Dobro" in Macedonian. The girl's eyes light up. He leans down and says, "Are you okay? Have they hurt you yet?" The girl says, "No, but that's not my mum. I'm so scared." He looks at the mum, who's confused, and says, "I'll have to examine her." As she lays on the table, he says, "I'm a policeman, sweetie. These people have drugged you. They've also taken my daughter and I need you to go with them so I can find her." She hops down from the bed and in total fear she leaves with the woman.
What? It was like an undercover story or something? What happened to the guy in orange, man? I was paying close attention to him. I don't know if I'll spot it. Y'all tell me down below, man. We seek it, so let's hope you check it out. Did you guys spot anything wrong with that video?
Yeah, something traumatic happened that changed my life. Check.
Panic Pete. That's the toy you squeeze, right? Is that an edit?
Today we'll be talking about the slit-mouthed woman. The slit-mouthed woman is a spirit known for wearing a face mask that approaches her victims by asking them if they think she's pretty. If you answer with no, she'll kill you with a sharp weapon that she carries around. If you say yes, she'll take off her mask and ask you, "Am I pretty now?" If you say no, she'll kill you with the sharp weapon. And if you say yes, she'll cut your mouth just like hers. The only known way to avoid her is to answer with maybe. This will confuse her and give you a chance to run away. But running doesn't always work because she tries to appear in front of you as you try to escape.
Okay.
Most unusual deaths in human history, Part 2. In 1975, a man in England named Alex Mitchell sat down to watch some TV after a long day's work laying down break. He then tuned in to watch his favorite TV show, The Goodies. The Goodies were a trio of British comedians who had their own TV show from the 70s to the 80s. They were known for their sketches and physical comedy. However, Alex was particularly amused by this episode's sketch, where a kilted Scotsman battles a man wielding a tube filled with sausage. Once Alex started laughing, he found himself unable to quit. Several minutes later, he was still laughing, and when you laugh for 6 minutes straight, your heart rate begins to increase rapidly. 15 minutes passed. As Alex continued to laugh, his heart rate began to increase even more, causing him to rapidly lose oxygen and him to lose control of his sphincter muscles. 20 minutes later, his body became urgently deprived of oxygen, and he had a massive stroke, causing him to die of laughter.
Dying of laughter? What the hell? You've always heard, that saying that, like, laughter is the cure to everything, but seems like even if you laugh too much, that can be it. I've never heard of that before, man. That's the first time hearing a case like that. Passed away because you was laughing too much? That's one of the most bizarre and insane cases we've heard yet. This definitely has to be in the top 10 now.
This sounds totally made up until you listen to the police report. In the early 90s, a teenage girl started to see these shadowy figures that would come into a room at night and crawl all around her room and even grab at her legs. At the same time, her health began to rapidly deteriorate, which ultimately led to her death, which doctors never understood. A few days after her death, her sister woke up to a whistling sound and saw a creature crawling around her room with no face. The same night, her mom was ripped out of bed by someone. The father calls the police, who come over, they search the house, they don't find anything, it's all quiet. As they're about to leave, they hear something. Horrifying screams coming out of the bedroom. They run inside, no one's in there, but there are these huge gashes on the wall that were not there before. The police get out of there. In the police report that was filed immediately after this house call, the chief inspector and the 3 officers that were there that night swear they saw and heard the same things as the family, which means the police officially believed that the house was haunted.
4K in writing. True case.
When you finish this video, you're going to Google 2 words. In 2014, 2 Dutch college students were staying in Panama when they decided to take their host family's dog out for a walk. The dog returned, but the girls didn't. After 10 weeks without any leads, a local woman turned in a blue backpack that contained the girls' cell phones and their camera. Using their call log, they were able to determine that the girls would attempt to reach emergency services 77 times, all unsuccessful, starting just hours into their trip. It was also determined that 5 days after those 77 calls, somebody tried unsuccessfully several times to unlock the girls' phones. But the most distressing thing is what was found on the camera. The first set was taken on the day they left and they were totally normal. The second set was taken in the middle of the night over a week after they had left, and it showed all their belongings neatly laid out on a rock, and it showed one of the girls who appeared to be hurt. They found their remains spread out around the area where the backpack was found, and some of their bones appeared to have been bleached. There is still no official cause of death or explanation as to what happened.
Gotta be careful, man. Like, especially when you traveling to these other parts of the country, man. You never know who's watching you. Said they try to call 77 times. Very eerie. It was all set up all over the place, man. They remain seekers, man. If you're traveling out of the country, man, you gotta be careful. Never know what could happen, man. Always be alert. Always be aware. Same story. Seekers, if you guys made it with me to the end of the video, you're a true one. Seeking the truth. I greatly appreciate the support, like I said, guys. Thank you guys for joining me on my journey. Please make sure you guys hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, follow me on my social medias, man. We're growing. Let's continue to do that. Still doing these daily uploads for you guys. Guys can catch you in the next one, man. I'm out. Peace, you too.